A short list of names once dominated Boston's restaurant scene. Todd English, Ming Tsai, and Lydia Shire among them. Today, there's a much larger cohort of local chefs gaining national attention, and they're turning Beantown into a bona fide foodie town. To kick off this week's Focus Report on the city's food scene, WGBH News reporter Stephanie Leydon looks at how reality TV has been a key ingredient for Boston's transformation.
This is going to be our rooftop patio.
In every direction, Chef Travis Talbot sees potential customers.
And we've got Broadway, and so there's development all around us.
We're standing on top of an old copper forge in South Boston that Talbot plans to transform into Copper Smith, a restaurant so big it will accommodate 2 food trucks. That's right, food trucks in the dining room. Cooking competitions, too.
People work hard, and when they go out nowadays, it's less about just sustenance in the food. They're looking for entertainment, engagement. They want a whole experience.
Boston's restaurant scene is hot. In just 2 years, Talbot has helped open 18 restaurants, consulted at dozens of others.
Chef, this looks dynamite.
He says in the last decade or so, local chefs have shaken up the city's meat and potatoes reputation.
In 2001, it seemed to me like the whole restaurant scene was homogenous. It was fish and chips, it was a version of a lobster roll, and a lot of heavy, creamy chowders. Now it's a culinary destination.
Even on a Tuesday night, you're lucky to get a seat at a trendy spot like Duave in the Back Bay, where the average bill runs about $90 a person.
So what are we going to be eating tonight?
Chef Chris Coombs has carved out an enviable niche in Boston's competitive restaurant industry. In addition to Duave, he owns Boston Chops in the South End and D-Bar in Dorchester.
3 restaurants, you're 30 years old. What's the secret sauce?
Honestly, I think it's just passion, dedication, and being willing to work hard.
Then there was this, Coombs' big break, a spot on the Food Network TV show Chopped.
I'm an executive chef in my restaurant at D-Bar in Boston.
The competition offers the winning chef bragging rights, but Coombs says he took away something far more valuable, name recognition.
And I think exposing myself on television was one of the ways that really helped to, blow up into what Boston Urban Hospitality and Chris Coombs is today. And I mean, how else can you put yourself in front of millions of people at the same time?
Let's go, guys.
Come on, Andy, be a hero. Andy's got a lot to prove here.
Television can be humbling. Chef Andy Husband's got a taste of that on Fox TV's Hell's Kitchen. But it gave him something more.
And it got us press, and we got business from it, and people like us, and they continue to come back.
Husband says TV cooking shows have also helped cultivate a food-savvy culture. It's a big change from nearly 20 years ago when he opened the doors of his first restaurant, Tremont 647 in the South End.
We would serve rare tuna, and people would go, oh, I don't want it, I want it well done. We'd say, just try it. Today, it's rare tuna all day long, and that's what people want. It's such an interesting change, People really know what good food is.
Right down to the individual ingredients. We caught up with Husbands as he prepared for a barbecue event.
I have this kind of secret barbecue sauce, maybe not so secret because it's in my cookbook, but we have the secret ingredient, and people would get it and say years ago, they're like, what is this? We have no idea. And now they're really kind of educated on the flavors and profiles. And
So they know what your secret ingredient is? They can taste it and tell?
Yeah, we were adding.
What is it?
So I can't tell you. No, our secret ingredient was curry.
Discerning tastes, or at least taste buds, encourage chefs to push the envelope. The result, a city that takes its food seriously.
Boston is on the same scale as San Francisco, New York, Seattle. It's a culinary scene here now. There's a lot more cleaner food going out as far as people are farm to table, they're dock to dish, and there's a lot more innovation.
Wow.
And that's a key ingredient that so far seems to keep customers coming back.
Summer salad is fun.
Thank you so much. Boston may be full of foodies, but the Massachusetts Restaurant Association says across all genres, Emily, the best performing restaurants are those upscale taverns where you can get a steak for $30 or a hamburger for, say, $13. So something for
I'm going to have to
everybody.
be convinced about the food trucks inside the restaurant.
Well, you'll have to see. I stand by. He expects to open that restaurant. I mean, you saw the dirt-covered floors. Yeah. He expects to have it open within the year, by the end of the year.
All right, Stephanie, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
All right, well, my next guests have some of the best jobs in journalism. Corby newcomer is a senior editor at The Atlantic and a restaurant critic for Boston Magazine, who's been called a dean among food writers in America. And Naomi Cooker is editor of the 2014 Zagat Boston Restaurant Guide and a contributor to the Boston Globe. She wrote her master's thesis on the phenomenon of the celebrity chef. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Well, now, I really am concerned about this to a point, whether some of this hasn't just crossed the line into shtick. I mean, I understand food trucks have become very popular, and you can get some great food on the streets these ways, but why would you put a truck inside a restaurant if it wasn't kind of for the shtick of it?
It is for the shtick of it. That's the whole point.
Okay.
People think it's cool and hip and that they're going to get... They have this idea that it's somehow going to be better and more fun and more authentic somehow if it's out of a truck. People who are paying bricks and mortar rent are driven crazy by this idea. But the interesting thing is watching the phenomenon work the other way in reverse. Clover Food Lab, which started off as food trucks and now it's got a couple of locations, it's growing as a chain. So there, where you have this kind of really honest, earnest business philosophy that catches on, then it makes the leap and it goes into bricks and mortar. That's when I start taking it seriously, but I'm going to be vilified for saying that.
You know, I mean, you've just done a thesis on this. I've been very slow to catch up to the TV food celebrity. I'm aware of celebrity chefs and all that, but I've never watched a cooking. I like to cook, but I just for the first time in my life saw one. And I kind of got into it. I was sort of
What convinced you?
I was waiting for somebody in a hotel room. That's what made me. All right, is that a fair enough
time
answer?
waster?
Yeah, exactly. So I just was there and I was watching it. But I mean, how has that transformed how does it transform the restaurant scene, for one thing?
Well, it's incredible, and I think that we really nailed it here. It is, television has brought chefs into the limelight. I would say too, entertainment is definitely what people are looking for when they go out to eat, and that started with the open kitchen. The focus is on the chef, and they're cooking, and there's fire, and there's excitement, and there's the food, and that's the eye candy, and that's the flavor. But really, by and large, it's really about your whole experience. And television has just catapulted chefs into the limelight, and have, as Chris Coombs discovered, a name also gives recognition. That recognition means that you have people coming to your restaurant, and that's great for business.
I'm wondering about that, though. I mean, I wonder if that many people really know who Chris Coombs is. I mean, that restaurant, Dezev, or we call it Dezev. It's right in my neighborhood, so I'm there all the time. I've met him, but I mean, do people go there because of him, or it happens to be a good restaurant?
I think the answer is yes. People go when they've seen somebody on television, and it's huge for name recognition. It gets people through the door. One question is, are they able to pay the deux av or deux prices? And will they come back? Yeah. That's always the question. Will it bring repeat business? But it brings an enormous amount of business. And it's also hugely important for chefs who want to build their brand. The question I always ask is, could they cook when they started the show, and can they cook when they come out?
That's a great question, and I think, my thesis was focused on chefs first. So, celebrity chef, someone who's run a kitchen, who has the skills, whether it's from school or self-taught. And I think basically it's, being able to run a kitchen. And, interviewing Tiffany Faison, for example, she knew that she had she had been on Top Chef, one of the first Top Chef, but then was only discovered in Dubrovnik. And, so that name recognition, you can get people in the restaurant, but it's true, you have to work hard to keep them there and keep them coming back.
Well, how about TV itself? Has it transformed the diner's expectation when they go to a restaurant? Has it, in your mind?
Well, to an extent, the Gordon Ramsay shows and others, and Naomi will have her own views, made people want fireworks and argument. They like the idea that there's going to be tension. What those shows are built on is tension. It's not supposed to be smooth. It's not supposed to be what a lot of diners and chefs think of as the ideal dining experience, which is seamless, smooth. We want to please you. We want to make you happy. Instead, they want some tension, and they want fireworks, and the idea that there's lots of fights going on, or tensions, or people not showing up, and terrible arguments in the kitchen. So some of them actually have told me that they'll do shtick, or that their diners are very disappointed that they're not yelling when they go out. There's a chef in Los Angeles whose entire reputation has been made on television, and in fact, he's one of the best chefs now cooking in the country. And he's like shocked. People are shocked that he's nice. They're disappointed.
I do disagree. I think people want to go for a nice time, but I think that tension is also found in the cooking, and that also there's a lot of food bars, cooking bars. Take Myers and Chang. You can sit at the counter, and I do think. Yes,
I just have to interrupt you because I was on a cooking competition and the chef of Myers and Chang was the person I was judging. It was Beat Bobby Flay. I had no idea.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, well, and so the whole idea that there is excitement, yes, I think people want that in their television, but I think more than anything, people are looking for connection. Yeah. So I know that chef. So off this, out of the kitchen, they recognize that chef, and then there's this connection that develops, and we need to go to that restaurant, and also. Joanne Chang told me, at first people would come to Flower for the sticky bun, right? The chef who is skilled becomes known for their food, a particular food or a dish. Then people say from San Francisco, read about it or see her on Bobby Flay's SmackDown, and that's where they, want to go, when they're in town. So yes, it gets people in the door, but
all right,
gotta get them back.
I have to start watching some more of those. Gorby, as always, thank you for coming. I am a cooker. Thanks.